Okay, this video today, very simple. 3 steps to install a driver adapter on a shaft. Let's go. Hi everyone, welcome to the Mobile Club Maker. I'm AJ. I hope you're having a wonderful day. So we are going to just go through very simply the 3 basic steps of installing any driver adapter onto a shaft. Okay, so this video is not about reshafting a adapter. It's not about pulling an old shaft off an adapter or reusing a shaft and having to deal with those sets of issues. This video basically just assumes you bought a new adapter, you bought a new shaft, and you want to put them together. Okay, step 1, we're just going to rough up the inside of this hosel. And for this, I like to use one of these little sandpaper dowels. You can get these at different golf club making websites. Even some general golf retailers sell these. If you're going to be doing this more than one time, I definitely recommend these. They make things a lot faster, a lot easier. If you don't want to use that, you can of course just get some sandpaper, roll it up into a tight little tube like this, and just kind of use that, slide it down in there, and just kind of rough up the inside that way. It works. It's not as fast, but it still gets the job done. We're going to use the dowel. Just for a few seconds, tap out any sort of gunk that gets out of there. Don't worry about, you're not going to grind down the sides of the adapter or anything using those sandpaper dowels. I've heard that, and I don't know where that comes from, but you'd really have to be doing a lot of grinding to get any sort of damage or any sort of wear on one side of the adapter. So run that around just like that. Next up, we're going to get a little bit of acetone on a Q-tip, and we're going to run that around in here. Again, because of the way these little adapters are made, sometimes you can have a little bit of residue, a little grease, a little oil, something like that on the inside, and that is not a good combination when you are trying to epoxy an adapter in a shaft. So you want to get that out of there. So just a little bit of acetone. I'm just going to pour in here. On a Q-tip, and just run it around in there. Just get it nice and clean. Just like that. You can see we got out a little bit of residue. At this point, this adapter is prepped and ready to go. Okay, next step, we're going to prep this shaft. This is not the shaft I'm actually going to be gluing into this adapter, but I already prepped that shaft, so this is just going to be a stand-in for the process. First thing, if you can put the actual shaft into the adapter all the way and see how far it goes in, that tells you how much we need to prep. You don't want to over prep, obviously, because then you've got raw shaft sticking out of the end. It looks ugly, doesn't look professional. So you want to make sure you don't overdo it. If you can fit it on there all the way like that, great. If you can't, then you can just sort of line it up next to it and get a pretty good idea how far the adapter is going to cover the shaft. And if you've got any doubts, I would say start with less, and you can always take a little bit more off. So here, we'll say we basically had, I know it's a little more than that, but we're going to say about 1 inch. So I'm going to put a little line there. And now you've got a few different ways to do this. You can take a utility knife, take it, point the knife blade towards you and scrape away from you, and just work your way around. Again, you just want to make sure that you're not cutting into the graphite. That would be bad. You're just using this as like a ice scraper kind of, and removing the paint that way. And you can see there's the unpainted shaft, which is what we want for the epoxy to bond to. So you could do that. Again, you could use sandpaper and either do sort of the shoe shine method if you lock this into a vise or something, go back and forth, or you can just kind of pinch it on here, start twisting it. This is medium grit. Just start going like this, and you will start to wear the paint off and get down to the under layer, which is what we want. Obviously, if you have a belt sander, you can use a sander. I have a flapping belt also that I've used, but you don't need it. Just some basic sandpaper or the utility knife. Now you might have to alter the angle of your knife a little bit. If it's too flat like this and you're trying to scrape it off, you're probably not going to get anything. So you have to just sort of bring it up to the point where you actually start to feel it and see it scraping the paint off. Again, as long as you are less than 90 degrees from the shaft, once you go over 90 degrees, then you might cut into it. That's bad. So anything less than that, you should be fine. Working your way around until you basically get something that looks like this. As you can see, here's the painted section, here's the raw section. We double check on here, fits all the way on. We don't have any sticking out past it, so we're good to go. Okay, I've got some 2-part epoxy mixed up here, all ready to go. We've got our adapter and we have our shaft. Now some adapters will have some sort of little ferrule piece on there, either one that's sort of just stuck in there or one that you have to stick on yourself and kind of pay attention to so it doesn't pop out, fall off. In this case, this Cobra one basically just has a built-in sort of ferrule with it, so nothing to worry about there. We can just get going on it. So a little bit of epoxy. Again, less is more. We do not need more than the minimum amount, just enough to drop down in there and coat all the interior surfaces. That's it. Just make sure it's all coated like that. Next, I like to just put a tiny bit on the shaft itself. Again, we are just making sure that the surfaces have some epoxy on them, just like that. Okay? And at this point, we just put it together. Now, be aware when you're doing this, when you're lining up your logos and things like that, remember, you don't have to put the shaft oriented into the standard setting where it would be in neutral. You can put it whatever direction you want. I know that I'm going to be using this club and actually have it lofted up 1 degree. So I'm going to install this shaft with my logos set so they match up to this 1 degree up. So when I put it into the driver, all the logos, everything are nice and square the way I like them, the way they should be. So don't just assume or don't just put everything in standard if you're not going to be playing that adapter as standard, because then things are going to get twisted around. Okay, at this point we're just going to slide the shaft in. We just like to rotate it a little as we install it in there. At this point, I'll bring it up, and then there, 1 degree. Shaft is lined up with that. Give it a little tap down. Make sure it's set fully. I'm going to leave that resting there for a second. Get just a little bit of paper towel, and we're just going to wipe off the excess epoxy, and then just wipe around the opening just like that. Ready to go. Leave it till it dries. Put your little epoxy next to it. When the epoxy in here is dry, you know the epoxy in there is dry. Okay, there you go. 3 steps to installing a new adapter on a driver shaft. As you can see, very simple, very quick, and you need a minimal number of tools and supplies. So get yourself a new adapter, a new shaft. You can do this very easily. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, please go down below, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you'll be alerted when I post new videos. I'm on Instagram. You can find me there at Mobile Club Maker, and we will see you on the next video.